Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Porting via Ports by yours truly, Mac Merlin. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. Let's see who is online tonight. I see a Zark, I see a Big Chimpo, Nasty Johnny. Thanks, guys, for joining in. And as usual, before we start the stream, what is Merlin drinking tonight? Let's see. You guys saw it last week, actually, so nothing too exciting. Well, it is exciting, but just not new. Here it is. This is what I'm drinking again tonight, guys. Who is that? That is Snoop Dogg. Yes, once again, it is the Snoop Dogg Cabernet by 19 Crimes. So, it's funny. I was actually curious as to why they called themselves 19 Crimes, and after a little bit of digging, 19 Crimes is actually in reference to the number of crimes that you have to commit before you were exiled to Australia back in the day. Something like that, so maybe Zark knows more about it. Anyway, let's pour myself a glass of Snoop Dogg wine. Here goes. To be fair, I've actually been partaking into this. The more I drink from it, the more it tastes really smooth for like a Cabernet. It's not so dry, which makes it taste really good. I think the last stream I did with this, I drank two glasses. Big Chimpo says, I imagine Snoop's vineyards don't just grow grapes. Well now, that is most likely a valid assessment. Alright, maybe I'll drink 2 of these tonight again. But yeah, overall pretty good. This was a $10 bottle of wine that I picked up at... Let's see, where did I pick this up? Oh gosh, I think I picked this up at the local Fred Meyer, actually. Local Fred Meyer sold for about $10.99, a little over $11 after taxes, 14% alcohol, and yeah, let me just read through it once again. 19 Crimes tells the true story of rule breakers who beat the odds, overcame adversity, and went on to become folk heroes in their society. This spirit lives on today through innovators and culture creators like Cali's own Snoop Dogg. Bookmonger said, just had a bottle of that myself. A little sweet, but not bad. Really? Awesome. And thank you for subscribing at Tier 1. I think this is the first time on stream where someone in chat is actually drinking the same thing that I was. So thank you. Thank you for trying it out. Let's see. Let's play some tunes tonight while I drink on my fancy wine. There we go. Yeah, we'll see how much I get through on this. I did notice that they had other bottles of 19 Crimes with different people on it. Didn't quite go through them, but who knows? Maybe one day you'll see my face on this. Actually, here in Washington, you can make your own wines. You can make all of your own beers, and they bottle it for you, and you can put your own label. So maybe one of these days, one of these nights, you'll see a bottle from me, the Mac Merlin. Big Chimpo says Mac Merlot. Oh yes. If I made some Mac Merlot, would you guys buy it? Designation Rock says, Merlin, do you port things by request of a client or just for the heck of it? It started off as for the heck of it, just basically porting all the boards that I owned, and people wanting QMK would just reach out to me and say, hey Merlin, can you do the same for my board? And you know, one thing turned into the next. Tonight's particular build, or yeah, I guess it is a build. It's like a software build. Tonight's particular build is from Rensuya. If you guys don't know that name, he is quite popular in our community. He's behind several keyset designs, including GMK Mizu. I guess Cat Mizu is the current group buy. So yeah, I was quite surprised to have him reach out to me. Unfortunately, it wasn't as simple as, hey Merlin, I've got PCBs, can you port it? It was more of a Merlin, I've got a few broken PCBs. Can you help fix it? Oh, and since this isn't in VIA yet, why don't you port it into VIA? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Why not? Why not? So yeah, he actually sent me 3. This is the only one that's unsoldered, so this is the one that we will work on. Look at that. This is the HB85 PCB. Let's see. Let's talk about it really quick. The HB85 is a keyboard that was run through Z Frontier by Gray Studio. $345 board inspired by Sony's Hitbit series computers. And yeah, check it out. That's what it looks like. Look at that. It came in several different layouts. Like this one's pretty much just, it's got your arrow layout. The basic one doesn't have arrows. CAOP has arrows and no blockers at all. All that good stuff. Came in 7 different anodized colors. I actually assisted in porting one of these into QMK back in the day, and this was also the board that got me hooked on linears. I like borrowed Mr. Petrov's, and he had I think there were 72G progressive springs, 72G progressive spring Telios, and they felt so good, and I was like, I should really give linear another try. See, Designation Rock says arrows and numpad, everything I can ask for. I know, right? And it looks like you had half plate options as well, full plate options. But the problem with the PCB is that it came in bootmapper client only, which used an Atmega32A microcontroller. So for the longest time, you just couldn't get QMK on it until about, I think 2019 was when we started doing QMK on bootmapper client boards. There we go, photo of the PCB, all that good stuff. Yeah. There we go. So unfortunately, I don't have the board. He only sent me PCBs, so this is all we've got physically. But yeah, look, it's got your typical USB Mini B, as common with all bootmapper client boards. He's got RGB underglow right here. And then I believe these are your indicator LEDs, top here. Atmega32A microcontroller right there on the bottom. And your typical diodes, resistors for everything else. Let's see, Destination Rockside is bootmapper client popular with Asian-based PCB makers. I think it was for the longest time because it was kind of like a no-brainer way of remapping your board. All you had to do was open up an application, plug your board in, it would get auto-detected, and then whatever you did in the app got reflected back on the PCB. Kind of like an app that we use in the community today actually. So tonight we are putting this into VIA. And I'm going to show you guys how I do it. It should be relatively quick since most of the code's already in place. Zark says BMC is ancient. Yeah, not only is it ancient, it's also defunct. As of 2018, the people who made BMC just closed their doors. Closed their doors because they were copied way too often that they couldn't really pay the bills, I guess. So here we are with a bunch of boards with no longer supported firmware. All right. Let's see, how should I go about this? Let's actually check that the PCB works first. Okay, so bootmapper client is probably the only reason why I still have a Mini B USB cable. Like cameras actually have micro B. So this cable of mine is literally only for bootmapper client boards. Alright, let's check that the PCB works. Yeah, so this is not the broken one. The broken one is the built PCB, which I'll be looking at later. Another bad thing about these PCBs is that they do not have ESD protection. Alright, okay. Where's my tweezer? Let's open up a QMK toolbox. Or not a QMK toolbox, QMK configurator. Here we go. Let's do... Sure, okay. Let's do that view. We'll do keyboard testing mode. And hopefully this works. Hopefully this works. Actually, I don't even know if this PCB is flashed at all. But it looks like it's not registering. Here, let me move things around here. Might not be a flashed PCB. It's nothing's... okay. That's a bit worrisome. Let's try his other PCBs. His other PCBs. Here, let's try this guy. This guy with the Zelios. Maybe this one will work. Oh, there we go. I see some lights. That's good. That's good. Maybe this will be the PCB that we port. There are lights, but there is no activity. No activity. Blah. Oh, something happened. Okay. Bottom row seemed to work. Okay. Oh. I think that's the best we can do at this point. Okay, onwards to the next PCB. Alright, to be fair, Rensuya did say that it was in various states of working / non-working. So here we go. Last PCB. Hopefully this one's programmed. Okay, all those lights turn on. That's good. Reset. Oh, this guy's working. Woo! So 1 out of 3 works. I suspect that the unsoldered PCB works, just not programmed. So we're gonna program that right now. Well, not right now. Once I'm done with this, we'll program it with the vanilla QMK. See what happens there. All right, this PCB works just fine. Okay. That being said, I will leave this as is and just work on the others. Don't want to mess up something that's already working. Okay. We are going to reset this board right here. Big Chimbo says, whoa, yeah, I know, right? 1 out of 3 PCBs working. Not good. Not good at all for Mr. Rensuya here. Let's see. I need to short this key while I plug it in. Okay. Hopefully that did it. Hopefully that did it, and we'll flash it. Flash it with something generic here. Please flash, please flash, please flash. Bootloader not found. Okay, I probably did not reset it properly. Let's try again. Timmy says hello. Hello to you too. I'm in the middle of testing out which PCBs I can tamper with. And so far, I'm not really finding a good one. Let's try the reset process again. This time using a smaller cable. Hopefully that did the trick. Oh, there we go, it's flashing. Just needed to reset it. And boom! It lives! It lives, except that guy looks like he's struggling. Oh, there we go, he turned on. Oh, he's struggling again. Seems like I may need to reflow some solder there. We'll see, we'll see. Okay. Let's go back to testing this PCB. Will this guy actually work? Yep. Escape worked. F2. F1's not registering. F3, F4. Okay, for the most part it works. I'm just gonna assume that the whole thing works. This is where we'll be doing most of our work tonight. Ooh, let's see. Radizen24 has subscribed. Thank you so much. And Mischief Max, thank you for following. Alright. Okay. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's switch to the coding scene. Okay. So in order to put a board into VIA, number one, it needs to be supported by QMK already, and just as important, the microcontroller itself, or the board itself, needs to have an EEPROM. VIA works by storing all of the key maps on the EEPROM, which is why you're able to change your key map on the fly whenever you want. So if a board doesn't have it, it's not going to support VIA. The Atmega 32A does have it, so that's good. That's good. So when you do this, the whole process is divided into two parts. The first half is to actually turn on a flag in the QMK firmware, and the second part is to create a JSON file that the VIA app can read. We're gonna start doing the QMK firmware part first. Here we go. Let's see. Let's do... Boom. There we go. Little Toonchi says, hello, Mr. Wizard. Hello to you, too. Hello, Javon. Alright, guys. I like to use VS Code. Just cause. See, Big Chimpo says, which keyboard config did you load? Must have been something with the same rows, columns, config, right? Big Chimpo, I just loaded the existing QMK firmware for the HB85. I just loaded like the default one. Alright, okay. So what files do you need to pay attention to? The file you need to pay attention to is, of course, make sure you're in the same directory. Open up your keymaps directory under HB85, and I like to do this. I like to copy and paste the default, and then rename it as VIA. And yeah, basically adding VIA support to a QMK powered board is technically manually adding a key map. So here we go. Right now, there's nothing too special there. It's just two layouts. You've got base and control. See, Ravia says, are you a programmer? Yes, I am. Alright, we want to get rid of a lot of these things just to keep it as simple as possible. VIA does not respond well to predefined macros and all that. Well, they've got their own, so if you have any extra stuff in this key map, VIA might get confused. So what I like to do is take out all of these enums. Take out all these enums. Take out that TGCT as well. Let's not have any macros that VIA might have trouble with. Like so. Okay. There we go. So we can see the entire thing. VIA can support up to 4 layers, okay? So as you can see right now, the key map only has 2. If you don't populate the other 4, what's gonna happen is that it's just gonna be filled with garbage. So when you load it up in VIA, you'll see like your typical KC escape, F1, F2, F3. Layer 1's gonna be all blank except for the reset and the RGB keys. Then 2 and 3 are just gonna be like random stuff. So what you want to do in that case is actually define those layers even if you're not using them. So that's what we'll do right now. We'll add the 3rd layer, also known as layer 2. And we'll just empty it out. We'll just empty it out. Get rid of that reset. Anything else in there? Nope, 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 nope. All right, now let's add the 4th layer, layer 3. And there we go. We're done with creating the key map. So this in and of itself doesn't turn VIA on. The magic happens in a new file called rules.mk. So within that same directory, create a new file, rules.mk. And turn on the VIA flag, which is just VIA_enable equals yes. There we go. Once we do that, we should be good. What I also like to recommend is to do LTO_enable, like so. One thing that you have to remember, or sorry, did not actually type out what was in my brain. Okay, LTO enable stands for link time optimization. This makes sure that your firmware file is as small as possible, because with boards such as the Atmega32A powered Gray Studio HB85, you don't really have that much room. So just make sure you turn on LTO_enable. The next part is unique only to bootmapper client boards. You want to turn off mouse key and extra key. So you go mouse key _enable equals no. Extra key _enable equals no, like so. And you should be good. You should be good. So just test this out. Test this out. Do a make Gray Studio / HB85 : via. And if all goes well, we should have a firmware file. No target Gray Studio HB85 via. What did I screw up? Did I spell Gray Studio incorrectly? Oh, I did. I am in the wrong directory. You need to do this in root. There we go. Error, error, error! What's wrong here? KCTGC. Oh yeah. I erased the macro, but I didn't actually do anything about it. KCTGCT. Let's just make that a KCDel. There we go. There we go. It's building. Oh, no, it's not. There you go. This last error. Dynamic key maps are configured to use more EEPROM than is available. Usually, you get these on bootmapper client boards or on larger boards like a 96 key, sometimes a TKL. So in this particular case, you need to tell VIA that instead of having 4 layers, it'll be 3 layers or sometimes 2 layers. Let's start with 3 layers first. So let's do this. Let's create a new file, this time call it config.h. And I always forget what the syntax is here, but I think it's like dynamic key map something or another. Dynamic key map layer count. That's it. You want to add a #define dynamic key map layer count and set that to 3. Wilbur is on. Hey Wilbur, thanks for joining in. He's asking what MCU is it? This is a bootmapper client board. It is an Atmega 32A. Let's see, let me catch up on chat here. Wilbur says mouse keys work in VIA, but not on the Atmega 32A if I'm not mistaken. Alright, so now that we've told VIA that this board will only have 3 layers, we should be able to compile it. Hopefully. And yes, there we go. It works. However, we're not done. We're not done here. The way VIA detects what board you have is by looking at 2 things: the vendor ID and the product ID. You can find this stuff in your keyboard's config.h. Right there, see? This one is 20A0 and the product ID is 422F. You'll actually see that most bootmapper client boards have this combination. The vendor ID is probably 20A0 is probably what WinKeyless used back in the day. But the product ID seems to also be the same across all of them. So I know Gray Studio has had other boards ported to VIA, so we can probably see what they have here. Let's go look at the Think 6.5 since that's the most recent board. Let's see, the Think 6.5 has a vendor ID of 4753. Mounchi has followed. Thanks, man. Thank you for following. Revia says, what LED is the background? Are you talking about the background of my face cam? That's just a whiz light. A whiz light that I picked up from Home Depot. It's in a little IKEA magic globe. Here, let's see if I can show you guys. You guys see it? There it is, see? It's like a magic globe. Yeah. So we're just gonna lift this 4753, copy and paste that into the config file right there. We still have to decide what the product ID is. So the way to do this is also to look at the existing boards. Looks like Think 6.5 hot swap is 4001. The soldered is 4000. How about the Space 65? What's that listed as? 3000. Okay. How about the COD? What's the COD listed as? It's not even listed as anything because no one's bothered putting it into VIA. If the Think is 4 and the Space is 3 and the HB85 should be a 2. I'm guessing. Wilbur says, is it using VUSB? Yes, it is. Okay. I'm just gonna make the product ID at 3000. Let's do that. Product ID 3000. There we go. Once you've done this, you should probably remake your firmware because things are all different. There we go. What did I change? Okay. Wilbur says, if I recall correctly, the extra keys is working now, but not mouse keys. Ah, okay. Let's go turn that on. Config. Oh, no, it was in rules. Extra keys, we can actually take that out. Now let's see if that compiles. It's compiling. Wilbur speaks the truth. Thank you, Wilbur. Theo Iso says, Mac Merlin finally caught one of your streams. Thanks for joining in, man. Thanks for joining in. This is my porting via port stream in which I take a board and I either put it into QMK or I add via support to an existing QMK powered board while I drink wine. Usually it's port, but I'm trying to expand my taste buds, I guess. So tonight we are drinking a special kind of wine. Check that out. Snoop Dogg Cabernet by 19 Crimes. Oh, it's focusing on my face. Let's see. Focus on Snoop Dogg. There we go. There we go. Snoop Dogg wine. $11 at your local grocery store. Check it out. It's actually pretty tasty. All right. And at this point, I think we are done with the QMK firmware portion. So the next part of this is to reflash this board. Put the VIA firmware on this guy. So let me do that real quick. Theo Iso says, found you from your Sunday YouTube. Nice, thank you. Thanks for joining in. Donbro says, I have a t-shirt with Snoopy the dog's sailor logo. It should mean something. VODs, not gods. Biohazard Burrito Benson, thanks for following. Alright, hopefully I reset the board correctly and it's gonna flash. There we go, it's flashing. Board is flashing away, hooray! Yeah, it takes a longer time to flash a boot map compared to a regular Atmega 32U4 board or an ARM powered board. Okay, we should be good with this PCB. We will now transition to the VIA side of things, which is probably going to take a little longer. Big Skid says, I don't think you can just make up the vendor product IDs, right? Aren't those issues by governing body? That is true, but at this point, in order to get an official one, you need to cough up $5,000, and I'm pretty sure Gray Studio hasn't done that, so I'm pretty much guessing, well, I know what their vendor ID is based on the other vendor IDs in the repo, but the product ID, I just assumed that it would be 3,000. Because, if I'm not mistaken, oh no, not 3,000. I think I screwed that up. It's supposed to be 2,000. I screwed that up. 2,000 because the HB85 is the second board they built. Let me reflash this once again. reflash with the correct product ID. Thanks for mentioning that, because if you hadn't mentioned that, I wouldn't have thought to look again. Alright, reflash. Theo Issel says, what's your opinion on the NK65 entry milkshake? I think it's a good board. So it's a very good value, especially since it comes with cherry PBT keycaps. It's a good deal. 190 bucks, if I'm not mistaken. Done flashing. Excellent. Woohoo! Alright. We're done with the PCB portion. Let me set up the VIA portion really quick. VIA portion. Burrito Benson says, thoughts on the KBD67 Lite? I think it's also going to be a good deal. I'm not sure how I feel about the ABS body though. It's a gasket mount ABS, essentially. So I'm very curious as to how it will sound. I might buy one just to satisfy my curiosity. We'll see. Theo Islo says, what's your favorite switch and switch type? I don't think I have an actual favorite switch, but I'm currently on a linear kick. I like lots of linear switches. Bravia says, do you lube your own switches? Absolutely. Alright. There we go. That's better. Okay, give me a moment just to set this up. Alright, the next portion of the show will be following documentation on caniusevia.com. If you go on caniusevia.com, click on the top left here, look at docs, you'll see something with required properties here. VIA can detect your board by feeding it a JSON file. So a JSON file is basically just an extension. It's like a doc file, PDF file, whatever. But JSON just happens to be the extension that the VIA app reads. This via.json file has to have the following properties. It needs a name, such as the RamaWorks M6A. It needs a vendor and product ID, which we were talking about earlier. It needs properties like lighting set, the matrix needs to be set as well, and the layout. When I create this file, I like to start with the layout over here, and that's all done through Keyboard Layout Editor. So here we go. First step of doing this is to create basically a physical representation of your keyboard in Keyboard Layout Editor. And I always recommend doing the most base case. In this case, let's see, let's just do the basic case right there. The b.basic, that seems to work. So it says opinions on Milky Top Telios and UHMWPE stems. I've only tried them on Gateron inks and I really liked the combination. Other than that, I think they sound horrible, so it's something that I don't do very often. Okay, let's see. Could probably build this with a 60%. No, actually, let's just start with the full layout and just delete keys as necessary. There we go. Let's do that. We're gonna be going back and forth as I try and match this. There we go. Okay, function keys go all the way till F12. We can do that. How is that spaced out? Okay, it's spaced out a little bit better. So the F1 is placed between the 2 and the 3. Like that. Okay. The Arabia says, are you paid to port a PCB? No, all of my porting is for free, but I do ask that if you're so inclined to tip me on stream and to also pay for shipping to and from me. Okay, all right, let's keep looking at this. 4 keys at the bottom right here. Delete, delete. Wilbur says, I heard if you send him a little bit of wine, he'll port your keyboard. There are limits to it, you know. Not every board is portable into QMK or VIA, unfortunately. Let's see, those look like 1.25 views. Yeah, let's do that. You know what? I think that was actually a 6.25U spacebar. Yeah, that looks more like it. Looks more like it. There we go. Okay, let's fix up that very topmost row. Lucky Fluke says, what does it mean to port a keyboard? So what it means in our field right here is, imagine there's a keyboard that only supports one form of software. Maybe it uses bootmap or client, and that's the only thing that it's ever done. But then something like QMK or VIA comes along. Then you wonder, oh, should I sell my keyboards and then just buy another QMK powered board? The answer is yes, but it sucks to have to like throw away your board because you can't use new software on it anymore. So the porting process means to take this old board and whatever custom software it's currently on it, and to program and code it so that this new firmware can now work on this board. So it's a convoluted process, but things have gotten way easier. A lot of stuff is automated right now. Like, you don't have to do any actual coding. If you watch all of my VODs, all of my Tuesday night VODs, you'll see that most of the things I do is copy and paste. So yeah, I think if you took the time to watch my VODs and to also watch my ongoing series on YouTube, you should be able to do it as well. Big Chimpo says there's a key to the right of F12 and escape. Looks scooted in. Ah, okay. Let's see. There we go. I think everything could use a little bit. There we go. That looks much better. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay. All right, so let's just make sure everything is colored in properly here. Or actually, let's delete all of the legends first. Remove all legends. Okay. Let's color all of these guys in. See, I always have to refer to GMK Olivia, just because that's the default colorway for VIA. Let's see, how is the top row done? Okay, so it's alpha colored from F1 through F4. Good. So there we go. Let's call that. There we go. Theo Isso says, what's the butteriest switch you have ever used? Probably stuff that I've lubed myself. See, I don't find anything stock right now to be buttery, to be honest. Oops. The reason why I'm doing this is because it's one of the VIA requirements. You need to make sure that the mods are a certain color and the accents are another color as well. There we go. Did the numpad have a color? Let me look. Numpad did not have a color. Okay, let's leave it like that. Looks good. Nakakubo says, can all QMK enabled boards be ported to VIA? No, not all of them can. Cases in point are probably the Matrix NOAA, the Matrix OG 1.2. None of the drop boards can be ported either. Yeah, there's a small handful of them. Okay, so we've got this. All right, so what do we want to do with this? Okay, what do we want to do with this? Once you've created this layout in Keyboard Layout Editor, you want to go back into QMK actually. I'm going to go back into QMK. Navigate to your keyboards.h file. In this case, it's the HB85.h. And basically pick a layout macro. In this case, we want layout basic. And what we want to do is actually follow all of these things right there. Say this K0C, K0B, K0A. This first number here always stands for the row. And the second one always stands for the column. And the way we do it is we kind of do it in hex, so it would go 0 through 9, then A, B, C, D, E, F, and then we just keep going for some reason. We do G, H, J, you know. So it's like it's not really hex. It's more like 0 to 9 is decimal, and then the rest is like alphabetical, I guess. So here we go. What we want to do is take this row and model it here, right here. So K0C is what? That's A, B, C. So that's K012. That's how that's put together. Okay. I'm just going to do this off screen, so I'm not switching between the two over and over again. Here we go. We want this to be K012, and you just want to put this in the top leftmost legend. 012. 011. Yeah, so this can take a pretty long while, to be honest. 010. So pardon me while I do this. 02, 03, 203, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, we can do that. 4, 5, 6, 7. I said 7, 8, and 9. And then the last one is K0E, A, B, C, D, E, 014. Okay. There we go. Next row starts with 1. That's K1E. There's 114, 113, 112, 111. What's next? 110. Then it goes from 0 through 8. Here, I'm going to show you guys what I'm looking at here. So you look at this next row here. It goes 1E, 1D, 1C, 1B, 1A. then 1, 0 through 8. Then the row changes again to 5, 5, 9, 5, 8, 5, 7. I really don't like it when PCBs do this, but this happens more often than I like. So you have to be prepared for it. Okay, let's do this. 1B. Oh, not 1B. We actually do want to write down the actual numbers. That's 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then 5, 9, 5, 9, 5, 8, 5, 7. Okay. Didn't turn out too difficult, actually. Next row is just as confusing, to be honest. 214, 213, 212, 211, 210. Looks like it's following the same pattern. Goes from 0 all the way to... Oh, it goes to 9 this time. Okay. 2, 0. 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So as I mentioned earlier, I have done no coding at all so far. This has literally just been me counting and making sure I write the correct numbers in the right spots. Theo Isso, what are you doing in my chat? Posting the definition of joke. Do git commands count as code? No, I don't think so. Git commands are just running commands. I would probably count it as code if I was writing a script that used the git commands, but git commands on their own cannot be counted as code. All right, 314 DCBA. Okay. Same deal right here. At least we finally made it to the 4th row. $310, and this one goes from 0 to 9 as well. Awesome. Makes it easy for me. So once we're done with this, I can actually show the entire matrix. It's like always fun seeing it, especially when a board is kind of messed up like this. You guys will see what I mean. You guys will see. Seven, 6, 7, 5. Let's see. Almost there. Lucky Fluke says, if the port has a mistake, does it brick the board when flashed? Only if it's a catastrophic mistake. Which in many cases it's not. Like, okay. So people think that if you flash the wrong firmware on your board, it's immediately bricked. In a sense, it's bricked, but if you flash the correct firmware immediately afterwards, then you're fine. Then you're fine. Think of it like it's just a file that you're putting on the board. So if you don't like the file, overwrite the file. In fact, to actually brick the board during the porting process, I think I've bricked boards during the porting process, but it was never through code. It was because of ESD. Oh, I made a mistake. It actually jumps from E 12, 11. There we go. Off by one issue. From 0 till 9. Zark says, unless it's too big a firmware. Okay, that's true. Okay. So here's the thing, when you do compile firmware in QMK, it does tell you if your file is too big or not. So as long as you're doing it within a QMK dev environment, I think you're going to be fine. Like before, we absolutely did not have those safeguards, and people could just make firmwares as big as they wanted. All right, 7-7. Whew, we made it to the last row. Yes. Last row is K6D, so that's a 6, 13, 6, 12, followed by 6, 1, 6, 4, and 6, 5. Okay. Whew, we made it. Okay. So we're technically done, but this only supports one layout. And as you guys can see, especially on this group buy, there are quite a few layouts. There's the STT, there's the basic, and there's the AOP. In fact, if you go into config.qmk and search for this board in particular, and you click the drop-down menu here in layout, you'll see that all of them are supported. STT, basic, and AOP. And of course there's the all layout as well, which is the catch-all for anything else, right? Like so. We want to replicate this in VIA, but the good thing about VIA is that you don't have to do 3, 4, 5 different layouts. You can actually change it by key. So at this point, we need to identify which keys are changing. So based on these 3, actually, let me pull out the PCB again. We pull out the PCB right now. Husnell says, why ESD are important these days? I remember it in 2017, 2018. Most of PCBs don't have it. I'm going to say it's important because I've been championing it. It's like, you know, back then, back in 2015, 2016, people didn't know about QMK as well. Let's see. Okay. What keys are changing? Even though it's not shown in the 3 layouts here, you can see on the PCB that backspace supports both regular 2U and 2 1Us. ISO is supported as well. Where else can we see? The shift key, the left shift key. Wow, that supports, I guess that's ISO as well, ISO support. The caps lock can do stepped or non-step, but that doesn't really matter in VIA. Spacebar doesn't ever really change, so we don't need to worry about that. But this rightmost guy over here, that guy supports multiple layouts. Here, we can see that already. You'll see it can do 2 1.25s, a blocker, and a bunch of arrows. Or it can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 1U keys. Okay, we can do that. We can do that. All right, okay. Let's see. We need to go back to our, here we go. Let's go back to our keyboard layout editor. This guy right here. And we need to identify the different groups that VIA can change here. For example, yeah, why don't I actually show an example of what I'm talking about? Let's do it. Let's do it on my iron here really quick. Let's do it on my iron. Here we go. This is my Iron 165, one of my most favorite boards right now, actually. And when you go over here to layouts, you can click on the top left here. You'll see that there are 4 things you can change here. You can do split backspace, you can toggle that, right? You can change your enter key to ISO or ANSI. You can split your left shift like so. And you can do a Sangan bottom row or not. See? So these are 4 things to toggle versus probably, I'd say, if you wanted to do every potential layout here, that would be what? What's the math behind this? I think at least 10 different other layouts. Who knows? Who knows? So we're going to try and replicate this kind of layout toggling, but on an HB85. So the way to do that is to use groups. And we want to do that by putting the group number over here at the bottom rightmost legend. So the first group that we want to identify is the backspace group. So let's say that's group 0, and you want to have options. So since this is the base option, let's call it option 0. We now have to make that option. Let's do 2 keys right there. So yeah, you can just add this to the regular keyboard layout editor. You don't need to create a new file. You can just put it alongside it just like that. What's important is you now have to assign it to the same group, which is group 0, and this is option 1. Even more important, you need to figure out what these keys are. Like, for sure, one of them is going to be 1/8, but we're going to have to look back at the code here. Look back at the code here and probably look at the layout all macro. So that's going to be, I'm betting that's a 19, K19. So it'll be 1/8, then 19. We can verify this later. There we go, 1819. The next group that we want to identify is the enter group. So there is a particular order that you want to do this. You want to start your groups from top to bottom, left to right. So following that ordering, the next group really would be this enter group right here. So this is not group 0, this is group 1. So group 1, option 0. And in this case, we want to add, let's go add an enter key, ISO enter key, and also a 1U key, like so. Sean Buller says, if you had an all-new layout, does VIA have to be updated to support the layout as well? The only way you would have an all-new layout is if you had a new PCB. Typically speaking, if someone's doing the porting or if someone's creating the PCB and programming it for you, they should already have considered that case. If they didn't do a very good job. Okay, so here we go. Let's label this group 1, option 1. And just like with the backspace, we need to figure out what keys they actually are. In this case, though, we don't really... It's kind of hard to tell looking at the code. The best way to do this is by using a multimeter. Here we go. So let me pull out my multimeter really quick. There we go. Vato D. Harina has followed, so has KS Navin Kumar and Jefferson and Iluvia. Thanks guys for following. Yeah, sorry I'm not paying attention to all the follows as often because I'm kind of neck deep into figuring this out. Wilba says, usually ISO enter is equal to /. Oh, really? Hopefully that is the case here. We'll see. We'll see. Let me just poke away. Okay. Okay, in this case, actually, ISO enter, here, ISO enter is actually ANSI enter. So that would be 3.7. And the little key next to ISO enter, which I always forget what it is. I think it's like nubs or something, nubs, nus, something like that. In this case, is actually the /. So that's 2.8, like so. There we go. And make sure to color in your keys. You can make this an accent key as well. So that's 6/7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boom. Longenberry says, Merlin, I was watching QMK tutorial for QMK Toolbox, and I was downloading the zip file for the QMK driver installer, but my WinZip trial expired. Is there a way to download the installer on Windows without a zip file? Yes, you can actually use Git. You can just clone it from the repo itself, and you don't have to do any kind of WinZipping or like 7-zip. But yeah, 7-zip is indeed free. You can try that next. Okay, the next group that we want to address here is the left shift, this guy right here. And let's give ourselves some room by moving the entire thing to the right, just a little bit here. And this guy is group 2, option 0. Let's add 2 keys here. This guy is a 2.25U, so this first one can be 1.25. Make sure we color him in correctly. So that's 6 A's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like so. Looks good. And we want to give him also group 2, but option 1, like so. And in this case, we still need to figure out what it is, but I can already guess it correctly. See, on the base layout, it jumps from 414 to 412. So this is most likely going to be 414, and this guy is going to be 413. And just to make sure, I'm going to look at the layout all macro. And yep, I'm correct. All right, the last group that we want to be concerned about is actually this right-hand side, this right-hand bottom row. Okay, so here, look, it can either be two 1.25 U's, it can be two 1.25 U's, a blocker, and 1, 2, 3, 4 arrows, or it can be all arrows. Okay. Sean Bloor says, I guess another question, if you had a new PCB, VIA uses the vendor product to detect the board. VIA would have to be updated since it has a string of the board name, right? Or does it read the string identifier from USB spec? Well, as long as it has a unique vendor and product ID and it's been programmed into VIA, it should be detected. All right, okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create this as one whole group. This one's gonna be a little bit tricky. Here, let's just keep adding keys. Here, let's do this. Actually, no, let's not do that quite yet. Let's just replicate this for now. This guy will be group 3, option 0, like so. Now we just want to copy him, copy paste. Like so. And the first one is the STT. That's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can make all that mod colored. Yeah, let's just write down all of these layouts while we're at it. Oh, I think I missed something. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, it starts on the second key. That aligned. There we go. There we go. And the next one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 keys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Make sure they're all mod colored again. There we go. Okay. Okay. So as you guys can see, there's this little blocker space here. You do want to add a key there, actually. So I think it's a 0.25 U blocker, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it a 0.5? I'm not maybe it's a 0.5. Let's try. Yeah, it's a 0.5 blocker. Perfect. Okay. Since it's a blocker, you do want to set it to decal. So it's invisible. And you want to make sure that even in the basic layout, even if there's no keys there, you want to absolutely just have all of these blockers in place. Okay. Want to set them as decal as well so you don't see them. And you do want to label them still. So let's add them to the same group. Group 3, option 0, like so. And now this guy right here is going to be also group 3, but option 1. Last but not the least, group 3, option 2. And there we go. There we go. I teach Gosu says, oh, this is how you remap the keys. No, no, no. This is how to get VIA to detect your board. So this is more high level than mapping your keys. All right. At this point, I think we're good to go. We can actually take all of this and put it into your VIA JSON file. So here we go. I'll give you guys a view of my beautiful face. I'm gonna organize my screen a little bit because we'll be working in a completely different repo. This is no longer QMK Firmware. This is the VIA directory, or this is the VIA repo. All right, let's see. All right. Let me adjust my window size just a tiny bit here. There we go. This is a completely different repo. This is not QMK Firmware. This is the VIA/keyboards run by a completely different group of people with their own set of policies in which you have to follow before committing your code. Some of the people involved in this is Wilba and Olivia, actually. Mr. Petrov says, oh wow, HB85 going into VIA, super cool. I know, right? All right, so let's say Gray Studio should already have a directory here. I think, maybe. Here we go, Gray Studio. Gray Studio has the Space65, the Think65, Think65 Hot Swap. Let's do HB85. Boom, right there. And within that directory, I did not create a directory. Let's delete that. I pressed the wrong button. Let's create a directory called HB85. There we go. Within the HB85 directory, make a file called hb85.json. There we go. This is the JSON file that you want to edit. And this is also the hb85.json file that you want to populate with all of the requirements listed in Can I Use VIA. I teach Gosu says, oh, so now people can flash it? Not yet. I'm almost done. Almost done. Once I push all of the files, people can then flash their keyboard with the VIA-powered firmware file. And then once it's been merged into VIA, all you have to do is plug in your keyboard and VIA will detect it. Wilbur says, did you do the split right shift and split numpad 0? Good question. I don't think I did. Let me take a look. You are correct. The PCB does support that. Okay. Back to the keyboard layout editor. Here we go. If that's the case, I need to change up a few things here. Let's see. The right shift can take split right shift. Okay. People need them arrows. That's true, that's true. Alright, if that's the case, we just have to move our groups around. People need them arrows on a 60%. Here we go, here we go. Let's make this group 3 option 0, group 3 option 1, like so. And 4, 7, 4, 8. I know that because I literally have it on the left side of my screen here. I can see that it's 4, 7 and 4, 8. Okay, the other one is this guy right here. Okay, this guy is going to be group 4 option 0, like so. Perfect. Perfect. And this one I may actually have to poke at. Let's go back to the multimeter. Okay, we now know that that first key right here is 4, 9. So what's this second key? What is this second key? Okay, this is going to be column 9. What? Okay, something's a little bit wrong here. I'm just going to... Okay, I'm just gonna prod at this really quick, but I think there might be something wrong with the actual matrix. I'll show you guys what I'm doing. Speed typing says hello. Hello to you too. Okay, let me pull up an @Mega32A pinout. Here, this is what I'm looking at. That was a open image in UTab. Yes, please. Why are you so blurry? Okay, that looks to be a B4 though. B4. And what was B4? B4 was 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So it's still a 4. Oh, sorry, that's not actually the right key here. C6, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4, 9. Okay. 4, 9. Okay, that's correct. How about this switch right here? Let's see. Burgess Lateral says, if you had a PCB schematic, would you still need to trace and label the rows? No, I would not. Oh, if you're talking about the via JSON, then yes, you would still need to label the rows, but you wouldn't need to trace it. You can just look at the schematic. Yeah, I think this is probably going to take another 45 minutes or so. It's B7. That's row B7. So that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I was right, I guess. It's a completely different row. That's 7, comma. And then the next one would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah. Where is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, C7, which would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 9, 4, 8. Okay. All right. It's a 7, 8. There we go. We got it. All right, let's just make sure that this bottom guy here is done correctly. So we've already gone through group 3, group 4. So this guy's group 5. 5, 0. And this guy's going to be 5, 1. Then 5, 2. Perfect. There we go. There we go. Okay. At this point, we can go back to that via JSON file that we were starting to make. Here we go. Let's do. Here we go. This guy right here. At this point, I'm not very good with the JSON syntax, so I like to pick something that's already pre-made like this and copy and paste it. Let's take this whole thing, copy, paste, Gray Studio HB85. We know that's 2000. Let's see, what was the matrix row and columns? This is something you need to look back in QMK for. This one's 8 rows and 15 columns. Let's do 8 and 15. Let's see. Wilbur says, check numpad 2 and 3 matrix coordinates. Ah, I see. Thank you. Let me just verify that. It's actually 7.6 and 7.5. There we go. Thank you. Big Chimpa says, do you have to determine rows column for 5152? Also, Wilbur noticed numpad 2 and 3 have the same row column labeled. Yes, he just He just pinged me about that. And the third bottom row. 1, 2, 3. Oh, yes. Here we go. We still need to label all of these. Let's see. So based on the layout macro, we can do 7, 9, 6, 9. I think this is actually the keyboard. This is the only this is the only keyboard I've done which has had more than 4 groups. So this is interesting. 6, 8. Oh yeah, sorry. I'm not showing you guys what I'm doing here. Here we go, here we go. Basically just following the layout macro again. 7, 9, 6, 9, 6, 8, 6, 7. 6, 7. Now we need to do the C, the AOP. AOP, which was also 7, 9. 7, 9, 6, 9. 6, 8, 6, 7. 6, 6. 6, 5, and 6, 4. Okay. It's pretty straightforward. There we go. Okay. Now we are done. Now we are done. All right. So yeah, we want to go back to our info.json, to our HB85.json, like here. Make sure all of this matches QMK. Here. Wilbur says, why were there multiple footprints on the left control, left alt? This was the left shift, actually. Oh, actually, Wilbur does say that there's on the left shift. I think it might just be for here. Let me show you this PCB. Let's see. I think that just might be for 1.5 and a 1.25U. See that? Burgers Lateral said, after how many times does this port did you find it necessary to drink at the same time? Probably from the very beginning. All right, let's finish this up. So in this case, layouts, labels. Here we go. We want to put all of our groups into here. So here we go. If you leave it like this, where it says one thing with the double quotes, this will show up as a toggle key. But if you put it into an array like this will show up as a drop down. So if you look back at our KLE, you'll see that the only thing that has a drop down is that group 5. So we should be good. There you go. Split backspace, ISO enter, split left shift, split right shift, split 0 key. And then for the bottom row, okay. So the very first item in that array will be the label of that dropdown. So you want to make sure that this is as descriptive as you can. So I'm going to say this is write mods. write modifiers. You're gonna want we did it as basic. Basic, STT, and AOP. There we go. STT and AOP, like so. Okay. So this is where you want to delete the existing key map that's right there. This is where you want to take your KLE, the one that you just made, right here. You want to go into raw data, but not the raw data. You actually want to download the JSON. So download the JSON, open it up, and basically just copy and paste it into that key map property, like so. And if you did this all correct, you should be done. And the way to test this is actually here. Let's do this. The way to test this is by opening up VIA. Here we go. Right now it's showing my iron 165. So you want to go to the design tab right there. If you don't have a design tab, you probably haven't enabled it in settings. So go to settings first. Make sure show design tab is showing. See that? So go to design, click on load, and load up that JSON file that you just created. And if you did this correctly, as soon as you load it up, it should work. If you did this correctly, it should work. If not, it'll give you some kind of error or something. Here we go. And boom. There we go. The Big Chimpo says, you've got 6.5 in there twice for the AOP config. Do I? You are correct. Here, let me fix that up really quick. Here, let's reload that file. There we go. Looks good, looks good. Okay, so the real test, of course, is once you've loaded this in and your PCB is flashed with VIA, VIA should be able to detect it. So since I pre-flashed this earlier, as soon as I plug it in, it should be detected. And so that you guys can see it, I'm going to unplug my iron right now. As soon as I plug this in, it should absolutely work. Here goes, here goes. Detected it, but... Huh. Let's try again. There we go, there we go. Yeah, sometimes it takes time. Just take out your cable and like plug it back in and you should be fine. But here we go. This is it. This is the Gray Studio HB85. Let's just make sure everything is as expected. Go to your layouts. Can we do split backspace? Yep, we can do split backspace. ISO enter. Yep, we can do ISO enter. Split left shift. Yep, we can do that. Split right shift. Yep. Split 0 key. Yeah, we can do that too. Right modifiers. You got basic. can do STT. See, everything's a little bit messed up there. AOP. There we go. Okay. I think we're good. The reason why it's showing up as messed up here is because the layout that we're using for VIA in QMK is actually the layout all macro. So we may have to change things up there before we actually commit this code. Here we go. See, 1, those keys are in there. 2, everything's blank. That's good. Let's check out the lighting here. Right now it's at solid color. Underglow color is currently set to red. Let's change the color to blue. There we go. It changed it. Let's change it to green, yellow, red, yellow, pink. Actually, the pink doesn't really look pink. You guys can't really see it, but to me, that looks white. Let's see, let's try and actually get it pink. Nope, that's more blue. There we go. That's still white, but I can see a shade of pink there. Oh well. There we go. Yeah, looks like we're good. Looks like we are good. So let me just program this as intended. We're gonna go for a basic layout here. Basic, like so. And we want there we go. Let's do this. Key map. Let's change that to question mark. And that one will be right shift. There we go. I think that's what I like. And let's actually test that that is what's happening. Key tester. Right shift. Awesome. Does this register as 1, 2, 3? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Let's test other things here. Layout macro. Let's change it to AOP. Like so. Change that to up, down, left, right. Sure, why not? Let's just test it here. Left, down. That's good. Okay, that's as expected. Pretty good. I think we're good. Could use a little bit more polish, but I'll probably do this off stream, as I've already been doing this for 2 hours. Fix the AOP bottom row. What's wrong with the AOP bottom row? Oh, are you just saying like the key map isn't correct? Here, let's do it. What does the group by actually want it to be? Oh, okay. It's supposed to be a 0. That's the 0. One. Split right shift. There we go. That's better. Goes up, down, left, right. There can be right control. There we go. Looks much better. Wilba says, go back to the KLE. What's wrong with the KLE? What's wrong with my KLE, Wilba? Oh, Wilba says no problem. Okay, yeah. I think you were referring to the 665s. I fixed that earlier. Yeah, I think it looks good. Looks good at this point. This is the first HB85 with working VIA. Awesome. Big Chimpo, if you want to nag me, make sure you tag me so I see you. Also, I think if I messed it up, if I did have 265s, VIA would have caught it, if I'm not mistaken. All right, guys, I think that is it for the night. We have a successful port of the Gray Studio HB85. I finished 2 glasses of wine. I think we're good to go. Snoop Dogg would be incredibly proud of me tonight. Isn't that right, Mr. Snoop Dogg? But yeah, we'll breathe new life into this keyboard, from Bootmapper client to VIA. Sean Buller says, have a magical night. Thanks, guys. I will be doing all of the PRs off screen so as not to bore you. The QMK PRs usually take about 1 to 2 weeks, and I think VIA depends on Wilba, I guess. I think I've seen them anywhere from a week to a month. So yeah, I'll file them after the stream, and hopefully they'll be merged in soon. Not sure if anyone is actually waiting on these PCBs. I know Rensuya didn't really care when I got to it, so who knows? We'll see. Alright guys, thanks for joining in. Hope you learned a little something about the VIA process. Do keep in mind that I'm currently working on a series on how to do this from start to finish. So if you would rather not watch an entire two-hour stream and jumping from spot to spot, watch the tutorial series. I think by the end of it, it's going to be 10 episodes long. Each episode's roughly 5 to 7 minutes. If you watch everything from start to finish, you'll probably be under an hour. We'll see. All right, guys, thanks for joining in. Hope you have a good rest of your Tuesday evening, and I will see you when I see you. Good night.